everyone. Thank you for coming today. I think everybody should be here by now. I think this is probably the number that I saw RSVP. But this is welcome to Zoom Best Practices. My name's Amy Arnold, and I am from the Office of Digital Education. I recognize many of your names from coming to some of our trainings, so that's awesome. I actually have my teammate, Nicole Daney. She is in this training as well. If you do have any questions as I move through the presentation, feel free to put those in the chat, and then I will do a Q&A at the very end. So if you want to hang on to that question, I can unmute you and you can ask it live. That's totally fine too. But again, thank you so much for being here. And I actually, Marjorie, I made you a co-host. So if you needed to do any kind of introduction, let me know. You should be able to unmute yourself. Yes, no. Okay.
Sure. Hi, everybody.
Say
hi, everybody. Thanks for being here, and thanks for participating in the program. We already have 115 people registered. We just opened up yesterday. So that's really exciting. And thanks to Kristen for setting up the website and getting everything organized. She's done a fantastic job. So really looking forward to this training. And yeah, let's get going.
Awesome. So if you'll notice, I made Marjorie a co-host and I made Kristen a co-host as well. But the rest of the attendees, you're not able to unmute yourself. And I have that ability as the host. So that would be one of my recommendations, just so you don't have any interruptions during your presentation. Maybe save time at the end for a Q&A. And do it that way. That's totally up to you, but I prefer this style. I've done it the other way before, and oftentimes people unmute themselves accidentally and they're typing or their dog's barking, or, you know, in my case, my toddlers are screaming. So it happens to me when I'm doing a training, but that's just something that I would personally do. But here's the agenda. I won't take up too much of your time. I'll leave a lot of time for questions at the end. But these are some Zoom best practices that I've come up with that we'll go over. We'll talk about your Zoom profile and how to update that, and we'll go over some Zoom settings, and then we'll leave time for Q&A. All right. So dress to impress. So this is just my example here. I've got somebody who just rolled out of bed, and then I have somebody who's dressed more professionally. So you want to just make sure that you look good that day, you know, when you're doing your recording, just because you'll probably have your camera on and you want people to see you in the best way possible, right? So that's my, my best practice tip number one. The next one would be reduce busy backgrounds. So try to find a place in your house that has limited background distractions if possible. I know that is not always possible. Some people are working from their basement or their kitchen, like me. I'm in my kitchen right now. My husband's actually in the basement right now in our office. So try to do the best you can. I know it's not always possible. And then, you know what, you can consider using a CU Denver virtual background. So I'm using one right now. This one, it kind of blocks out some things. I have my headphones on and it's a little blurry. If you'll see if I'm moving around, it kind of cuts out some of my head. So they're not exactly ideal, but if you don't have a good place to do your recording or do your live session, maybe consider using one of these backgrounds. And I'm gonna stop right here and just show you where this is. And I will send out this slide presentation at the end. So any of these links, you'll have access to them. So don't worry about having to type anything out right now. But I'm just gonna click on that really quick. I actually got this background from, I forget which newsletter it is. Is it, I don't know which one it is. But they sent this one out April 13th. These are free backgrounds that you can use for Zoom. I don't know if you've seen these or not. They have them in different colors. Essentially, all you have to do is click on the image and then drag it to your desktop, and then you have that file, and you're able to upload that in Zoom to use as a virtual background. And there's a plain white one. So you can, you know, pick one of these colors, grab those if you want to, if you don't already have a virtual background that you want to use. Let's keep going. All right. So best practices, tip number 3, adjust your lighting and reduce glare. So I put an example of me here. This is when I was actually on campus, but my office was directly in front of a window. So you can see the bad example, you can see the glare going on. It can be kind of distracting. So a good example is just making sure that you shut your blinds or your shades to help with that. And make sure you're in a well-lit area so they can see your face. Best practice tip number 4, engage your audience. I know in the classroom, things are a little bit different, and I feel that it can be easier to engage them in person, but you can do the same thing in a virtual setting. So what I like to do is try to include specific examples and stories from my own life and work when I do trainings. And this should, transfer over well into whatever your lecture might be about. Including those examples, it really gives them more of a humanness feel in your presentation. And then just make sure that you're tying it to a learning outcome in this specific setting, making sure that you're covering all the points that you need to. And try to use humor and wit if you can. I try to do that. I'm not that funny, but my husband's funnier than I am. But you can try to use a little humor and wit, and that really goes a long way with engaging your audience. Make it interactive. So if you are doing this live, give the audience a chance to ask questions. And then also you could consider using Zoom polling. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to show you what a Zoom poll could look like. Again, this probably won't be applicable if you are doing a recording and sharing it later, but so I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll and have you take it. So you should see this pop up on your screen. So how experienced are you with using Zoom? So expert user, moderate user, new user, what is Zoom? Hopefully the what is Zoom one, you're figuring out what that is right now in the Zoom meeting, but it is a web conferencing tool that we have available at the university. All right, so we have a lot of moderate users, that seems, and expert users, which is awesome. So it seems like everybody, for the most part, has familiarity with Zoom, which is awesome.
I couldn't even figure out how to answer this. I'm a moderate user. How do I answer the poll?
You should have an option to select which one that you want to do.
And I don't.
Marjorie, it might be because we're hosts.
Oh,
we
that's
can't
right.
answer.
I forgot about that. You're right. Yeah, hosts can't answer. But you should have the ability, I think on your side, do you see where it says end poll? Like you have the ability to do that too as the co-host. But yeah, you can't vote. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. And then your users should see the results. So I'm going to go ahead and share those results with you. So just so you can see what it looks like. So now you're not able to vote anymore, but now you're viewing my poll results. So, and this can be helpful just for engaging them, getting a gauge on the room. Are you understanding the material or the content? How are you doing? That kind of thing. So I definitely recommend checking out Zoom polling. I do have the link in this slide presentation that I'll email to you. So if you are curious about using polling, you'll have a guide for that in a follow-up email. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my poll. All right. Oh, go back. Okay. You know what? My Zoom screen is directly on top of the poll. Give me 1 second here. There we go. All right. Another thing that you could consider doing is using breakout rooms. So if this is a live session and you do have any kind of questions you might pose to the audience, something like that, you could always use breakout rooms. And what breakout rooms in Zoom are, essentially you have your main meeting session. And then as the host, you're able to create small group meeting sessions that coincide with your main meeting session. So what you could do is pose a question to your attendees and then break them out into breakout rooms, have them discuss that. And then as the host, you could say, hey, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to discuss this question. And then you can force them all back into the main meeting room. So just to give you an idea of what this is like, if you've ever been in a breakout room, you might know already, but I'm going to go ahead and put you all into a breakout room for like 2 minutes, just so you can see what it's like. And then as the host, I can force you all back in to the main meeting session. So the question I'm going to pose to you for the breakout rooms is, how do you see yourself using this feature? Why would you not use it? Things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up breakout rooms and just put you all in there. This is just to give you an example. So give me just a second to get those going. And one thing to note about breakout rooms is that only the host can create breakout rooms. So the attendees don't have that ability to do that. So I gotta hit escape here real quick. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. All right, breakout rooms, where are you? Okay, here we go. All right, I'll see you in just a minute.
Be
Hey.
This is kind of interesting for me to see what it's like on this side too. I've never done them before. To set up.
They're really easy to set up. You can randomly assign people, or and then you can pop in and out of the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And what I usually do is, when I'm in, I'll give them like an indication, oh, we're going to be here for about 10 minutes, or you have about 3 more minutes, and do you have any questions? I might be back again, or I might not.
Like, is there a way, do you know, sorry, I love that you're now my personal Zoom confidant. Do you know, can you save so ideally what I'd like to do is have the same 5 to 6 students in a group every Tuesday that we meet. Can you save the lists of students to then auto-populate the breakout rooms again?
I don't know that. Amy, do you know?
Yes, you can. So you can pre-assign breakout rooms in your university Zoom account. So yeah, you can. There's actually, you can set it up manually in there, or you can always, if you have a lot of people, you can upload a CSV file. They give you a template within your Zoom account. You download that template, you fill it out how you want people in the rooms, re-upload it, and then you're good to go. Yeah.
And then every time I use the same Zoom session, it will auto-populate, or will I need to then re-upload that file every time I want to do it? It
depends. If you're using a recurring meeting, it will have the same link, and it will do the same breakout rooms. But if you create a different meeting for each one, you're going to have to upload it each time. Okay.
That's fine. No, okay. Cool. Thank you for answering my dumb questions that the internet probably could have answered for me.
Oh, you're fine. I'm going to hop out of this room and go join another one.
So I'm still not sure how I would use this for the COVID.
Second one is that there's a way for the members of each breakout room to summon the host. So when I was doing like technical workshops, if they had a question, I'd be in the main room, and then I'd get this notification, group 3 has a question. So then I'd go into group 3 and talk to them about whatever question they had.
What do you think, Peter, is the ideal number of people in a group, and what's a good amount of time to have them in those groups?
Oh, well, of course, I think it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, in my class, I tried to set them up for a kind of meaty discussion. So it was 20 minutes. I gave them a list of things to work through. I think the ideal number is just the same as whatever you're doing in person. I went for between 4 and 5 for my class.
I like Peter's recommendations. That's what I would say too. I feel like the more people you have in there, the harder it is to try to get them to discuss something. There's just too many people.
Yeah.
I'm just checking on you guys, but I'm getting ready to close the breakout room. So anyway, making sure everybody's doing okay.
Yeah. And then another thing is like,
Okay, I'm just waiting on everybody to rejoin. It just takes a minute once you close the breakout rooms for everybody to wind up back in the main meeting session. Okay, I think everybody is back now. So hopefully you got the experience of a breakout room. Maybe you're thinking about how you could use this. Maybe not for this for the COVID-19 project, but maybe in your coursework at some point, or maybe for this purpose. But I just wanted to give you that experience to see what that's like, to break out, discuss
Sorry,
things.
Amy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where do you go to join the break? Like as an instructor, where do you go to have people join breakout rooms?
So you don't have this functionality as a co-host, so you're not able to see, but for me, only the host can manage and create those. So
Right.
You see your Zoom toolbar at the bottom. It says mute, stop video, participants, all of that. Breakout room shows up right there. Or it might be under more. There's a little tab that says more. Sometimes it hides
Right.
under there. But as the host, that's where it lives. And
Right.
you can always set up.
Annika is asking if the host can visit all the breakout rooms.
Yes, only the host though, not the co-host. So, but yeah, so I hopped around to a couple of the rooms. I didn't make it to everybody's. I didn't want to leave you all in there too long, but yeah, only the host can do that.
And is it possible, I'm reading some of the chat, is it possible to decide how many people per room?
Yes, yeah. So you can decide, I think this one I did 4 to 5 people per room. But you can do however many breakout rooms you want. You can create up to 50 breakout rooms, and you can spread out over 200 participants among those. So,
right. And Laurel asked a private question to me, but I'm going to ask it widely. People are planning to record lectures ahead of time. Should there be a video component? And actually, the people from IT said no, because it slows down the Zoom. Like they told me to urge you absolutely not to include a video component because it makes the Zoom choppy. Would you agree with that, Amy?
not necessarily.
So I want to jump in. I want to jump in really quick because Amy and I are going to be meeting with IT right after this to kind of figure out what those alternatives look like. But I was thinking that we might kind of have an introduction in Zoom, then maybe guide participants to watch the pre-recorded video. And it might not be played in Zoom. It might be played in YouTube or TextSmith Relay, which is something Amy might talk about. And then the participants would then come back after they've watched the video for the live Q&A.
Right. So for all of these, I'm going to do an introduction as the moderator, and then either you will be live or recorded, and then we will have the live Q&A session. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, playing a video during your Zoom session, it's fine, as so long as everyone has a stable internet connection. It just kind of depends on, your end user. So if you just don't know, but if you're doing a pre-recorded one, they're already streaming your video. If you're playing a video during it, it's not going to affect anything. So that's my 2 cents for that.
Yeah, I'm just worried. I think IT was saying that when you play a video in Zoom, it's really choppy. Like it has a bandwidth issue. And I was actually in a webinar a couple days ago where they did that, and I experienced it firsthand. It was very choppy. So I think we want to just make sure that the experience for participants is not going to be like that. So we'll talk it through and report back once we hear back from IT.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let me know. I've been in a situation like that before. But all right. Give your participants an opportunity to connect. So I'm not sure if you're going to be sharing your email addresses or not, but that's what I mean by give an opportunity to connect maybe afterward if you're not doing a Q&A. But a Q&A is a perfect place to do that, to let them connect with you, ask their questions. So add some time into your presentation to do that if you're able to.
Right. So we have some more questions in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a really important question, which maybe you are getting to, will be, how do you record ahead of time? is a question. So how do you record yourself doing Zoom? And a question for me, so should the pre-recorded lectures, should I be a talking head or can I just be narrated PowerPoint? I think it's really important for you to interact with the participants. So just showing a PowerPoint and talking behind it I would not recommend that. You can show some slides, of course, but I don't think for the whole 40 minutes you should be showing a PowerPoint without you being visible. And then when they talk about Zoom crashing in a video, what method are they using? We can just share our screen while playing the video. Okay, this is about using video. Many questions are about pre-recording. Yes, you're advised to do a live lecture to be more engaging. Exactly. So if you can do a live lecture, do that. Breakout rooms are not advised because we may have too many people, et cetera, et cetera. So Amy, those are the kinds of questions.
Okay, so if you want to record your presentation ahead of time, if that's what you're going to do that day, you can always open up Zoom and just start a meeting without anyone in there and record it that way. So what I like to do, and I'll just stop right here and I'm going to hop out of my presentation real quick. So I'm going to go to my Zoom account real quick, but you have an option here. It's called Personal Meeting Room. And this is a meeting room that has a special URL that's just for your account. This URL never changes, but for you, you can always just click Start Meeting. It's always open and available. So if I were to click the Start Meeting button, I could just run a Zoom session with nobody in there. And then I could choose to record as the host. There's a record button that shows up in your Zoom toolbar. So if you're looking right now and you don't have it, it's because you're a participant in mine and you don't have that ability to record. Only the host and co-host can do the recording. But that little button does pop up in your Zoom toolbar. So you could just do that. And when you end the meeting, it automatically starts converting into an MP4 file and it saves on your computer. So,
and for those of you who are really new to Zoom, the toolbar is at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so, and there's a button there that says record. So if you are just present there, you can just hit record and record yourself. And if you want to use slides, do you want to talk about share screen for those of people who don't know about that?
Sure, yeah. So in your Zoom toolbar, the same one that says mute, turn my video off, participants, there is a little green button there that says share screen. And that gives you the ability to share your screen. So anything you bring up in the background, it will display. So it gives you a couple options. I select desktop and I bring up a PowerPoint. Like I don't have PowerPoint up right now, but I'll bring one up just for the sake of this. But you should see me bringing this up right now. Choose. Let's pretend like this is a really good PowerPoint, right? There's nothing in here right now. But I could then hit that play button and I could walk through my PowerPoint. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm sharing my screen, so anything that's happening, it will display that. I don't know if that helps or not. I know this isn't even, there's nothing on this PowerPoint, but, or if you use Google Slides like what I'm using, it works the same way. All right. And then I forget, there was another question. Let me look at the chat. Oh, somebody's worried about disruptions if you're live. So what I did, and I was going to get to this in a few minutes, but if you'll notice, you can't unmute yourself. The only people that can are the host and the co-host because I gave them that ability. But when I started this meeting, there is a function, and I'll just hop back over to my presentation real quick and move along here. But this is what it looks like in a Zoom meeting. So I'm the host of this meeting. This is a screenshot. But if you click on that more button under participants, you'll see it says allow participants to unmute themselves. I just make sure that that's unchecked. So I make sure there's no check mark by that one because I don't want them to be able to unmute themselves. I only want the host or the co-host to be able to do so. And this is the way to prevent disruptions as far as people hopping on, you know, and talking or something like that. So Again, you don't have this function right now because you're a participant of my meeting, but I do because I'm the host. So hopefully that helps with that question. Let me see. I'm looking through the chat right now, so give me a minute to see if I missed something. Oh, distractions like children. Good luck. No, I don't know. Make them go play outside. No. Yeah, for that one, I don't know, maybe give them an iPad. No. That's what I do when I'm like at my wit's end, you know, here's an iPad. But yeah, trying to limit those distractions, find a quiet place in your house if you can. I know it's not always possible, but people understand. I mean, I understand. I'm in Zoom meetings and my teammates, they'll have like kids sitting in their laps for most of the time. So it happens. I know it's not ideal, but if it does happen, I feel like people are pretty understanding given the current climate of everything. So just do the best you can. Oh, here, sorry, I just moved along. I went the wrong way. So let me go back a couple slides. The final best practice tip, keep your presentation simple. So try to limit your words on the slides. You know, don't put lots of things on there that, you know, they could read themselves. You probably already know this tip. And keep your slides clean and simple, you know, not too busy with lots of graphics and things going on, which can be distracting. And then finally, let's take a look at your Zoom profile. So I'm going to turn off my camera for a second, and you'll see my picture show up. And this is because I have updated my Zoom profile and I've added a profile picture. So if at any point you need to turn off your camera, it's sometimes helpful to have a nice professional picture of yourself that will display. And you can do that in your Zoom profile. And you just want to make sure that your name is updated, because sometimes what happens, you know, Zoom might be pulling the name from your UC Denver account, but maybe you actually go by a different name. That happens, and you want that to be displayed in the Zoom meeting. I'm just going to hop over here to my Zoom account. So if I go to profile, this is where I can change that profile picture. So if I hit that change button here, you'll see it gives you some parameters. You have to use a JPEG or PNG file, and it has to be smaller than 2 megabytes. And then you can crop it, so I could move this all around. But and you just hit that upload button at the bottom, and you're able to upload a new image. So I can go through that for you. Upload. Actually, let me move this out of the way. I got my Zoom menu right directly on top of this. Okay. So if I hit upload, and then I just find an image on my computer, and this is a pretty big file. And I just hit open. It'll take a second to upload. There we go. And then I can crop it to fit how I want it to. So this looks good. All right, hit save, good to go. And it just takes a second. There we go. And that's how you upload a profile picture within Zoom. If you need to change anything about your name, your department, your company, I'm not sure it necessarily fills all of these things out. I think it tries. So you just want to make sure that this is correct. Or if you go by a different first name or the last name, I don't know, you can fix those here. You can put your department, your job title, all that kind of stuff. And then just hit save changes and you're good to go. So I just wanted to point that out because I know sometimes people will enter a meeting and it might have initials or, you know, abbreviated names. And to me, as a participant in other people's meetings, it's helpful to see their name right there because, you know, they might not know who you are. They might not be familiar with you. So just make sure you're updating your profile. All right. Let me hop back to my presentation here. So Zoom meeting options. So some that I like to set up ahead of time. I like enabled join before host. This just lets your participants join the meeting. They can't interact or do anything, but they are able to join your meeting and wait for you. This happens, maybe you're a minute or two late for whatever reason. It's helpful to have this meeting option turned on. I also like mute participants upon entry. Otherwise, when people join, they're able to unmute themselves and you're going to hear everybody doing different things at their houses. So I like to turn that one on ahead of time. And then if you're afraid that you're going to forget to record, you can actually set up in your meeting options to have Zoom automatically record for you. So let me show you what this looks like in Zoom. So I'm going to hop back over to my Zoom account. I'm going to go to meetings and I'm going to schedule a new meeting here. This is where I can title my meeting. Maybe this is COVID-19 project lecture number 1. I'm just making something up here. I put my date, my time, that kind of stuff. But if I scroll down, this is where I can select, maybe I want my participants' video off to start. I can turn that off there. Any of these settings can be changed once you're in the meeting. They can always turn their video back on. This just, when they enter the meeting, it will be off. But down here where it says meeting options, this is where you can do enable join before host. You just check the different boxes. You can mute participants upon entry. That's one I love. You can, somebody asked me in one of the breakout rooms about breakout room pre-assigning. That is here. Sorry, something else. I know you're not going to be using this, but if you want to know where that is, it's here. And then also record the meeting automatically on the local computer. So this is helpful if you're afraid, I'm going to forget to record, I don't remember these things. Just go ahead and set that up ahead of time. So these are probably the 3 settings I would make sure that I have turned on for the meeting options. So enable join before host, mute participants upon entry, and record the meeting automatically on the local computer. Those are the ones that I think are the best ones to use for this situation. And then,
yep. Can I just cut for a second? Kristen,
Yeah.
do you want to just say what you typed?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, so what all the tips that Amy is sharing is really good best practice, especially for your individual classes. But for the COVID-19 webinar, OIT is going to be helping us with it. They're going to be managing all the muting. Basically, the participants are not going to have any, you know, it's going to be like our town hall meetings with the chancellor. Like, I don't know how many of you have been going to those, like the one yesterday, but you, as a participant, you basically don't have any ability to chat, to turn on your video, to unmute, and none of that. The participant will have the ability to submit questions, and then me as a co-host and Marjorie and you will be able to see those questions, but we'll sort of be moderating them and helping them because we're hoping that it's going to be a very, very large number of people. So we already have over 100 people. The limit is 1,000 people. So you as the presenter aren't going to have time to manage all that. So we're kind of taking that on for you.
Okay, sorry, I missed that part. You can skip those last 2 slides then. You're not even gonna have to worry about that on the day. All you have to do is show up and be ready to present.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those are really great tips though for your classes. So it's all good information. But I think most of the questions that people on this call are interested in are about recording versus presenting live. So I don't know if you want to pivot into TechSmith Relay and those tools, because I think that would be something that folks would be interested in.
Sure, yeah. I'm just gonna put this slide up here for right now. We do one-on-one consultation, so even not necessarily for this project, but if you do find that you need help with anything that I'm talking about today, you can always set up a consultation with us. So keep that in mind. And we do trainings every week. We do like 2 to 3 training sessions a week on different, online teaching topics. So feel free to join us at any time, and you can always email us to odtraining@ucdenver.edu. So I just wanted to point that out really quick, but let's hop over to Zoom, or not Zoom, I'm sorry, TechSmith Relay. So to get to TechSmith Relay, it's ucdenver.techsmithrelay.com, okay? Every single staff, faculty member, student has a TechSmith Relay account. And what TechSmith Relay is a video hosting platform. So it's similar to YouTube. You can take any videos that you've created in Zoom, that you've recorded there, upload them into TechSmith Relay, and you essentially have unlimited storage. And it works similarly to YouTube, except that there's no ads. You have the ability to make your videos private so that only you could view them, or only select people can view them, or you can make them public so anybody who has the link can view it. In TechSmith Relay, you can also add, it automatically generates captions for you, ADA compliant captions. So that's another feature of TechSmith Relay. It has lots of other things that you can do, but it also is a screen recording tool. So I just logged into my ucdenver.techsmithrelay.com account. If you've never been there, you can navigate your browser there and you log in with your university credentials, okay? So this is my library. This is where all of my videos go. And for you, if you're recording something on Zoom and then you're like, okay, now I have this MP4 file and it's big and I can't email it to anyone, you can put it in TechSmith Relay and it will actually give you a shareable link to share that with others. But how you do that, you just click that create button over here. It's this blue create button and you'll see upload media. And I can select any MP4 file off my computer, upload it, and it will load right here in my library. Let's say I just uploaded this yesterday, but let's say I have this video now and I want to share it with someone else. I clicked on the video and I just hit that share button and it gives me a link. So then I have a shareable link. All I have to do is copy that. I can share it with whomever. And that's one place that you can host your videos, is through TechSmith Relay. You can also record with TechSmith Relay. So if I click this launch capture button, this is actually a screen recording tool as well. So it will show webcam and it will also record your screen. It doesn't do both at the same time though. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Zoom will keep both up at the same time. So Zoom will keep your face and the presentation going at the same time. This one, it's one or the other. You can toggle back and forth between the two, but you can't have them up at the same time. So it's up to you how you want to do the recording, whether you do it in Zoom or TechSmith Relay. I just wanted to make sure you know the difference between your webcam usage, I guess, on these different platforms. So if I were to click this launch capture button, and actually I'm going to reshare my screen because you probably won't be able to see it.
I just lost my...
Give me 1 second here. Let me do desktop. There we go. All right, so you should see this launch capture button here. If you've never clicked on it before in your TechSmith Relay, it asks you to download the capture tool. You only have to download it once. You'll never have to do it again, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and click launch capture. So if you haven't downloaded, it asks you to do it here, but for me, it says open TechSmith capture. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it. And essentially this is a little capture tool. Are you able to see this? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay. So now that I have this, all I have to do is bring up my PowerPoint in the background or my Google Slides presentation. And then I would just hit capture. And you can decide if you want the cursor to be on or off. Maybe you don't need it in your recording. You can select a region or you can do full screen. So there's a couple options here, but not many. And then you can turn your webcam on or off ahead of time. So you can see me again here. You can do no camera or select your camera here. We'll go ahead and do my camera. And then I would just hit that capture button and then I'm able to record. So this is what it looks like.
Sorry, Kristen, is there a preference from the tech people, whether we do Zoom or this version?
Like I said, we're talking to them right after this at 11. So it's all kind of, we're still working it out, but as soon as I have more information, I will be sure to send it out.
Okay.
All right, so I did region. It makes you select a part of the screen to share, but then you can hit record. Are you able to see these tools?
They're little, but.
Okay. You can turn your webcam on and off. You can hit the record button and it counts down for you. So you'll see it starting to count. 3, 2, 1. So welcome to my presentation. This is going to be the best presentation you've ever seen. And then I turn off my webcam and now I'm showing you the part of the screen that I decided to share. I should have brought up a PowerPoint just to show you. But anyway, you can toggle back and forth between your camera and the presentation. When you're done, you hit the stop button. And it automatically saves into your, you can play it if you want to. Okay. And then you can save that, upload to Relay. So I'm gonna hit upload. And it's pretty quick. It depends on the file size. And then it just saves it into your library, and you can share that link with whomever. So
Laurel just asked, can you have yourself and your PowerPoint slides if you record in TechSmith? I don't think you can in Zoom, but maybe I'm wrong.
You can't. You can't in TechSmith Relay. You can only show one or the other. You can toggle back and forth, but you can't keep them both up at the same time. With Zoom, you can. So that's the difference.
It says, can you see both the speaker and the PowerPoint slides? You can do that in Zoom, but you can't do it in TechSmith Relay. And when you
Correct.
record, it records whatever is on the screen, right?
Right. Well, it's whatever you can do, region or full screen. So, so now it just asked me for a title, description, example video, and then I just hit save. And now I have this video. I can hit share and get that link. I could download it if I needed to. I could delete it. And if I go to my library, you'll see that that video is available here. Here it is. Let's say I did it on Zoom and I just need to put it in this library. I can click on that create button and upload media. And I can select that file off my computer. And I actually think I might have one on my desktop here. Let me see if I have any. Okay, so here's
sorry, do we have access to Camtasia?
Camtasia?
Camtasia.
Yes.
University?
Yeah, faculty do, yeah. So Camtasia is a more robust video editing tool. It's pretty intense if you're not used to video editing. But yeah, we do have that if you need to create a video that way.
Yeah, let's not look at it here if it's very complex. Somebody's asked, probably knows how to use it.
Yeah, it's a lot more than I can show in a few minutes. So, but anyway, I'm just selecting this MP4 file off my computer. I hit open, and then it starts loading. So you'll see it's starting to load across here. But that's how you can just grab something off of your computer. I'm going to cancel this, but are there any other questions?
Are there questions about recording for those of you who want to record? Just generally? Yeah, Annika.
And you know what? I can just unmute everybody now, and if they have questions, they can ask them live. Would that be helpful?
Audrey. You can be live or recorded. You can go, I mean, we have a preference for you to be live. So Gabriel, that's your question.
Yeah, maybe this is a good time, actually. I had sent everybody an email about whether your preference was to be live or to try and do a recording. I've heard from a couple of you, but not most of you. So I was wondering, maybe if everyone can put in chat what you're planning to do as of now. And of course, you know, this it's not set in stone, but that would be helpful just for us to know, you know, how we can best support you.
And somebody was...
Would you mind saying a little bit just about the big picture of the series? So, you know, I read the schedule. I understand there's 45 minutes of lecture, 45 minutes of discussion immediately to follow.
Half an hour of discussion.
An hour for discussion? But
half an hour.
Oh, a half hour, okay. But it might be helpful just to get sort of a sense of the overall course structure, like what's available later offline, what's available in real time, what's the difference between community participants and students who are enrolled, just some sense of like what this is so that we can understand how we plug into it.
Sure. So we are offering the possibility for students to get 1 credit. The whole lecture series is free. There are 12 lectures over the course of 9 weeks, every Monday and select Wednesdays. And we're advertising it to students as the possibility to get 1 free credit. There's a $75 fee, but we're scholarshiping the first 100 students who enroll for credit. Another thing I'm going to be asking from you is a prompt for a question for students to respond to with kind of 3 things you want to see from that response. We're not going to do that right now. But so that, and then the community can also pay if they want to get professional development credits. But otherwise, it's a free lecture series. Anybody can come and see this. But the vision was that we're giving something back to the students, was really the original vision, that this would be something free, students would be interested in it, and it just kind of expanded from there. Does that help, Jennifer?
Yeah, our lecture is going to be recorded and then available somewhere publicly.
Yes, they'll be up on our CLAS YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I think right now the idea is just for the format. Marjorie's going to do an introduction at the beginning of each lecture. Then you will either present live or we will figure out a way to play your recording. And then there's going to be a live Q&A for the last half hour. We're working with OIT to figure out how to make that recording process easy. So the OIT is going to handle all the recording, and then we're going to upload it to the CLAS YouTube page by 2 days after the presentation. So if your presentation is on a Monday, it'll go up on Wednesday, hopefully. Don't quote me on that because it might not always happen that way, but that's the goal. Does that help? Any other questions in terms of format?
Yeah, I have a question. So is it necessarily always recorded, whether it's live or pre-recorded?
Yeah, it will be.
Yes, we're going to record everything because if students can't participate live, we still want them to be able to watch it back, get their response paper, and get credit for it.
Right.
And not just students, the public. We want this to be available to everybody.
How about the public Q&A participation? Will that necessarily be recorded?
Yeah, the plan was to record the whole thing, the whole hour, 15-minute presentation, and then have all 12 of those uploaded to the YouTube page.
This is John Salmon. This may be a question for Marjorie, but we've been doing a series with the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And Kristen, who's been emceeing, has been following the questions on chat, integrating them. And will you have that role with, okay, because that's worked very well, but the speaker can't possibly track.
No. That's our plan.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Kristen, do you picture it's optimal for us to have a split screen with us talking on one side and PowerPoints on the other? Or would you think it would look better to have the PowerPoints with voiceover if we're trying to figure out the technology side of how to do this?
I'm leaning on Amy to help me with this one, but I would say it depends on your presentation. So if you have a lot of text, you might want to have the whole PowerPoint screen. You might want to talk, I don't know if it's, and I don't know enough about the technical aspects of it, if you can toggle back and forth. I think toggling would be my preference as a participant, or having a split screen, or sometimes you can do the PowerPoint as like the bigger option and then like a tiny box of you talking. So I would like to know more from Amy or the experts about what's possible there.
So Zoom you can have the little talking head with your presentation, the whole length of your presentation. Whereas TechSmith Relay, it can either be your face and then you toggle to your presentation, but they can't be up at the same time. So, I mean, it's really more, I feel like Marjorie or Kristen should just make the executive decision and say, use one of these.
Well, Kristen's going to be meeting with the tech people, so maybe she will have an executive decision after that.
I think the benefit of using TechSmith Relay is more that it just automatically uploads into your library. There's not a lot of guesswork about it. With Zoom, it's going to save the MP4 file on your desktop, and then you're going to have to upload it somewhere. And it's going to be too big of a file to email to someone, so you're going to have to put it in Relay or somewhere anyway. But I'll let you guys make that decision.
Any other questions?
I have sort of like a weird like audience. Sorry, hi, I'm Molbeck. Like a weird audience question. I mean, so this is geared for just everybody, right? So we have to generate our materials based on like a starting point of 0, correct? Okay, that was that was my biggest concern. And then the other one is, are we supposed? I know that you said you were going to ask us for prompts, right? And we all obviously have goals, but should we have like clearly defined outcomes? Should we be incorporating quizzes? Like how much like a class is this supposed to be, and how much of this is like a seminar series?
It's like a seminar series, a lecture series. But so just what I will be doing is collecting. The students will, if they want credit, and we have no idea how many of them are going to want.
Oh, you're still listening to this stuff, Andrew. Make sure you're also on.
It will just be you giving a writing prompt to me, and then like 2 or 3 things that you would expect to see in an answer, right? Because we're going to have non-experts kind of looking at these as, to say, yes, this is a suitable answer. So that's really what we want the prompt for. But it's a lecture, a general lecture. I mean, any general lecture should have outcomes as well, right? So that's basically what we'll be looking for. And I'll send an email out about that because not everybody's here.
Yeah, I was just trying to get an idea of how to best sort of frame my section and whatnot. So thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Yes. And Faye asked whether CU Succeed students can take this for credit, and yes, they can.
I'll go to Laurel Hartley's question about biology presenting in segments and trying to do Q&A interspersed after each segment. That sounds complicated, so I think the preference would be to just have your recorded video all at once and then all of you live for the Q&A at the end.
Yes.
Marjorie's agreeing. That's good.
Yes. Other questions? Amy, any final words of wisdom?
Oh, you're all gonna do great. Maybe practice before you go to present this. Make sure you have everything good to go. If you have somebody who's able to help you edit or take a look at it ahead of time, that's probably pretty helpful for your presentation. But you're all gonna do great.
Amy, thanks for saying that. I just want to say really quick that everybody, we have 30 minutes before the start of your presentation to do testing with IT. So try and plan that into your schedules. So what time? So I think
3 o'clock.
Presentations start at 3 or 3:30.
3:30. So at 3 o'clock.
So everybody plan to be there at 3, so we can test and check your lighting and do any tweaks that we need to
for the live part. Yeah.
Yes.
And Amy, the materials you're sharing with us, will that include more details on different options for screen sharing and how to configure different visuals and between camera and slides and things like that?
I can highlight in my email like how TechSmith Relay does it, how Zoom does it, and then I'll leave it up to you all to make that choice. And I'll provide tutorials as well, along with this recording and the slides. So hopefully that will help.
Okay, great. And obviously, if you have other questions, I'm sure Amy will take them. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always email me too. I'm amy.arnold@ucdenver.edu. I'm somehow the first one. I don't know how, but easy to remember, amy.arnold. So yeah, get a hold of me if you need help.
Great. Well, it's great to see all of you. And thanks again for doing this. And it's really exciting that we opened registration yesterday and we have like 120 people registered already. So it's exciting. All right. And I'll be in touch really soon. enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. That's going to be the same as the last 2 months, right? Yay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Amy, so much.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.